Coming up next on this edition of the news, the countdown clock is ticking. See how a key element in the development of the world's most powerful rocket passed an important milestone. We've got the explosive story.
And find out how a White House heirloom is playing a key role in keeping the music alive in Washington. It's the story of a gift that's always in tune with the times. You're watching the best source for news and information. The news starts now. Hello, I'm Guillermo.
And I'm Gage. Here's what's happening. NASA engineers successfully fired up one of the booster engines for the most powerful rocket in the world.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
And we have ignition of NASA's Space Launch System solid rocket motor powering us on our journey to Mars.
This was the last full-scale test of the booster rocket for the NASA Space Launch System, or SLS. It's considered to be a key milestone on NASA's planned mission to Mars later this century. The 2-minute test provided NASA with critical data that will support clarification of the booster for flight. The SLS is an advanced launch vehicle designed to take crews of up to 4 astronauts on missions to explore multiple deep space destinations.
NASA is also in the news now that a postage stamp printed by the U.S. Postal Service in 1991 has become a Guinness World Record holder. A 1991 Pluto not yet explored stamp has now traveled more than 3 billion miles from Earth thanks to NASA's New Horizons space probe. That makes the stamp the holder of the world record for the farthest distance traveled by a postage stamp. The U.S. Postal Service and NASA put up the stamp aboard the New Horizons spacecraft before its launch back in January 2006.
A little closer to home, the U.S. Postal Service is honoring the memory of teacher James Escalante. Escalante is famous for using unconventional methods to inspire inner-city high school students to master calculus. Those methods led to 18 of Escalante students passing the Advanced Placement Calculus exam administered by the Educational Testing Service. Controversy, however, followed those students of cheating. To prove that they didn't cheat, 12 of the 14 took a different exam and they all passed. The movie Stand and Deliver, released in 1988, made Escalante one of the most famous teachers in America.
One of the most famous pianos in America is located in the entrance hall of the White House. It's the second of 2 given as gifts to the American people. Here's White House curator Bill Allman with the story.
Here in the entrance hall is the great Steinway piano. This is the second Steinway that was provided by the company as a gift to the nation for use in the White House. They provided one in 1903, which is now on exhibit at the Smithsonian. And this was the one they provided in 1938, specially designed with a very streamlined case to represent, the Art Deco period that was in fashion in the 1930s, with the great eagle supports to represent the American government. This particular case was also painted with scenes of American music and dance. And so you can see along the side of it, there's Native Americans, there's African Americans, people doing Virginia reels and courtly dances, and a cowboy playing his guitar out on the range. And so that was designed to represent American music forms. This particular piano is used all the time. It is played by the pianists for the various combos that are provided to official entertaining by the oldest musical organization in the United States Marine Band, which is called the President's Own. And they play for all presidential events here at the White House. And so it gets lots of action. It would probably not be played by a guest pianist. If that would, a person like that came to be the official entertainment, they usually are so wedded to the action of a specific instrument that they actually travel with their own pianos. This would be most often used, though, for the accompanist if you were to have a singer or some other instrumentalist that required part of an ensemble to play behind them. So the piano gets lots of use, usually here in the entrance hall. Occasionally it's moved into the East Room for official entertaining.
Here's a little presidential trivia. Harry Truman enjoyed sitting down at the piano every now and then to play out a song or two for guests staying at the White House.
Celebrating the 26th birthday of NASA's Hubble Space Telescope, astronomers are releasing a Hubble image of an enormous bubble being blown into space by a super-hot massive star. Named the Bubble Nebula, it is 7 light-years across, which is about 1.5 times the distance from our Sun to its nearest stellar neighbor, Alpha Centauri. The Bubble Nebula was discovered in 1787, and astronomers estimate it's about 4 million years old. They predict that in 10 to 20 million years, it will likely detonate as a supernova.
There's more news just ahead. Here's a brief sampling of some of the stories we'll be bringing you right after the break. A day at the beach can become deadly if you get caught in a rip current. Find out what experts say is the best way to protect yourself from this unforeseen danger in the water.
And speaking of safety at the beach, find out why it's important to take cover when you're on the sand or you're in the water and a thunderstorm suddenly pops up. We'll be right back.
High school sports fans, welcome back to Game Time, to pure spirit, to pure sport. Welcome back to high school sports.
Fans, I'm IHSA Commissioner Paul Knighty, and I just want to say, welcome back.
This is Game Time. This is Indiana high school sports. This is your IHSAA.
During the summer, hundreds of thousands of people head for the beach, and in most instances, the worst thing that can happen to someone is that they get a little bit too much sun. There are, however, dangers. One of the most common and least understood phenomenon is the rip current. Rip currents are fast-moving channels of water that start near the beach and extend offshore. Many beaches have warning flags or signs to advise swimmers of the possibility of rip currents nearby. Experts warn beachgoers that if they get caught in a rip current, there are certain things you need to do.
If you do get caught in a rip current, the best thing you can do is stay calm. It's not going to pull you underwater. It's just going to pull you away from shore. Call and wave for help. You want to float, and you don't want to swim back to shore against the rip current because it'll just tire you out. You want to swim out of the rip, parallel to shore along the beach, and then follow breaking waves back to shore at an angle.
Rip currents usually occur at low tide.
Summer is not the only time for going to the beach. It's also a common time for the development of thunderstorms, and like rip currents, thunderstorms can be dangerous if you don't know what to do if you're caught in one. Every year, millions of lightning flashes are produced by thunderstorms. Some lightning bolts can travel more than 15 miles, reach temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun, and contain more than 100 million volts of deadly electricity. If you're at the beach and hear thunder or see lightning, get out of the water immediately. Move quickly from the beach and take shelter in a building or your car. If you're in a boat, head back to shelter on land if possible. If you can't back to land quickly, either stay low in the boat or retreat to a cabin.
There's more news just ahead. When we return from the break, we'll show you how some high school teenagers became MVPs without participating in any sport. These students didn't have to score any points on the playing field or in the gym to finish first. Find out why the White House is inviting some of the nation's brightest and most creative students to show off what they know about science. We'll be right back.
This is your IHSAA. This is your state. This is your high school. This is your athletic association.
Fans, I'm IHSA Commissioner Paul Knighty, and we're here to make sure that all of this remains yours.
This is your state. This is your community. This is your IHSAA.
Finally, this story. Student scientists from around the country got an opportunity to showcase their science knowledge. That's because they were invited to participate in the annual White House Science Fair. The White House Science Fair features science projects and experiments from some of America's brightest and most innovative students. The event, now in its sixth year, highlights the ingenuity and entrepreneurship of the next generation of scientists, engineers, and mathematicians, and innovators. According to the White House, the purpose of the science fair is to celebrate and recognize the outstanding work done by young people in science.
And that's it for this edition of the news. From all of us here, we thank you for watching and hope you'll tune in next time.